Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, or if you're listening along on Twitter, thank you for joining me today. Welcome to the Wrestling United Spreaker Show. That's where I'm going to take 10-15 minutes of your time, if I can, trying to relay up on the world of wrestling. And I was going to try to do these once a week, but considering they're so small, I figured that we can try to do something somewhat daily. I'll try to do this as much as I can. But today is the first day of the Superstar Shakeup on Monday Night Raw. The day I'm recording this is Monday, April 16th, and it's 12 o'clock at noon where I'm at. So, just wanted to take 10 minutes and give you guys a rundown of 5 people you might see tonight. There's a lot of rumors and speculation about who's getting sent where. I want to clear some of that up if I can. So, here are 5 people who you might see tonight on Monday Night Raw as part of the Superstar Shakeup. Let's see. Number 5, Drew McIntyre. Now, I was going to put somebody else on this list, but Drew McIntyre was an interesting one because I was just going through the Ringside News, and they said that WrestleVotes had reported that Drew McIntyre is in Hartford tonight, which is the same location that Monday Night Raw is in. So you might be seeing Drew McIntyre called up to Monday Night Raw. I personally would rather him be on SmackDown, but nevertheless, I think Drew McIntyre would make a great addition to any show he's on after his stint away, just rebuilding him and where he was at. He's been out lately with an injury that he suffered at NXT TakeOver War Games in a match with Andrade Cien Almas for the title. And since then, he's only made a couple appearances here and there, but Drew McIntyre is potentially going to the to Monday Night Raw, being called up here. And tomorrow you'll see my possible NXT call-up for SmackDown. So, there's that. Number 4 is Bobby Roode. Now, Bobby Roode has been kind of stale on SmackDown, to be quite honest, in my personal opinion. And he has had a United States title reign. He took the pin on SmackDown when the triple threat match with Orton and Rusev. So Bobby Roode looks like they're kind of like flushing him out here. And maybe he could have a nice heel run on Monday Night Raw, get a good solid mid-card run before possibly being one of Roman Reigns' future opponents when he wins the Universal title. Inevitably. So I think Bobby Roode's going to be heading to Monday Night and kind of being overseen somewhat, maybe a feud with Triple H in the future, because those two are very similar. And I could also see Bobby Roode butting heads with Angle and reigniting their TNA feud. Speaking of people who took losses on SmackDown, segue, thanks Ollie, never mind. People who took losses on SmackDown, number 3 I have as Charlotte. Now, a lot of people are going to be confused by this and wonder why I think Charlotte's going to be switching over to Raw. But after losing that SmackDown Women's title, I really think that if Charlotte has a one-on-one match with Carmella, Carmella's going to be decimated. I think the only way for Carmella to have a substantial run as the SmackDown Women's Champion would be to have Charlotte leave onto the other side, whether it's switching places with Asuka, which I think might happen. Asuka's not on my SmackDown list. Or switching places with somebody else on the Raw roster. Who could it be? But I think that we will see Charlotte end up on Raw and kind of just, she's going to be one that goes back and forth. Starting out on Raw, heading to SmackDown, coming back to Raw again. I think she's going to be the one that bounces back and forth for a while because she makes any division that she's in relevant. So I think Charlotte would be a great addition to the Monday Night Raw roster. Coming in at number 2 is the United States Champion, Jinder Mahal. Now, spoiler alert for anybody who's going to be watching my show tomorrow, listening tomorrow, here on YouTube or on Twitter via Spreaker. I have Seth Rollins at some point on that list. But I think that Jinder Mahal, starting off on Raw, he was very stagnant. leaving Raw and going to SmackDown, he's developed himself so much since his WWE title reign and the United States title reign. We have a good heel that we can actually hate. So, that being said, if Jinder Mahal was on Raw, that would be a nice touch. I think of SmackDown as a whole as more of the wrestling show, like the one where the good wrestling is, and Raw is the good storyline show. That's just how I seem to perceive it, and a lot of people I've talked to seem to perceive it. But I think that Jinder Mahal going over to Raw would reignite the division a little bit because they have something new to fight for. And essentially, if for some reason Brock Lesnar still holds on to the title for the Universal title, we don't know how long his new deal is, he could be essentially the top champion, the default top champion on Monday Night Raw, which would be huge for Jinder, but it might suck. Now I'm saying it. But I think there's a lot of talent over there that could take advantage of the U.S. title and really make it their own. And I feel like the U.S. title should be on Raw anyways. And number one is one that I really hate saying, but it might just be. Number one, Daniel Bryan. Now, I know that's going to cause up a lot of negative views, like, oh, Daniel Bryan should stay on SmackDown. And I completely agree. I think his home is SmackDown. He needs to be on that SmackDown TV, inserted in the feud with Shinsuke and AJ. And do I think that they're bold enough to keep him on SmackDown? They're certainly capable. But seeing him taken out on SmackDown by Shinsuke and him just rolling on the ring, out of the ring, and no camera focus on him at all, I just cannot shake this feeling. I cannot shake the thought that Daniel Bryan is kind of being written off to Raw. Realistically, if he went to Raw, there would be so many feuds, but you would never see Daniel Bryan as a top guy because Roman Reigns is on Raw, and I don't think there's going to be any chance of Roman Reigns headed to SmackDown. If I had a lock, that would be it. Roman Reigns would be staying on Monday Night Raw because he needs to have that Universal title. Switching Roman over to SmackDown is just not a possibility. But switching Daniel Bryan over to Raw, I could see them just being dumb enough to do it. It might be good for Bryan. He might have some fantastic matchup with the talent over there. Imagine him with like Finn Balor or a match with Drew McIntyre, or him versus Kurt Angle, like Kurt Angle said he wants to be his retirement match. All of these things are good possibilities for Daniel. But right now, story-wise, I think he should stay on SmackDown, because that's kind of, seeing him on SmackDown is something that people have gotten used to, with him being the general manager and everything over on the SmackDown brand. That's what I want. I would love to have Daniel Bryan on SmackDown, but I cannot shake this feeling that they're going to move him. Will it be shocking? Yeah, but we're going to have to see later tonight exactly how this goes. So, a few honorable mentions for people who could have gone over to Raw, I think, to SmackDown. I think if I didn't have this feeling for Daniel Bryan going over to Raw, I would say Miz goes over to SmackDown. That would be a cool thing. Maybe the entire IC Championship feud goes over to SmackDown. But as far as SmackDown people over to Raw, I could see Velveteen Dream getting a call up, but I'm not sure. I think SmackDown's more of his thing. But his character that would set up for that Goldust feud that we've always wanted, Velveteen Dream versus Goldust. Can you imagine? Other people who could be traded, I could see Rusev going over to Raw. I just don't know given his current status of the company. He's not getting fired or anything, and I'm pretty sure it's pretty much a work for what they're doing to him. But I could see Rusev potentially going over to Raw or Aiden English and them getting separated. I can see Becky Lynch making a splash on Raw. She hasn't been there since the brand split, which I think would be really good for her. There's just a couple other names that could, but for as far as who I think is going to be, number 5 being Drew McIntyre, Bobby Roode number 4, Charlotte number 3, number 2 Jinder Mahal, and number 1 being Daniel Bryan. What do you guys think? Who do you think is going to switch over to Monday Night Raw? And who do you think is going to switch over to SmackDown? I'll be talking about that tomorrow morning. But thank you guys for joining me. Hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button, and share this. Main reason I do this is to try to get my opinion into the world of wrestling the best way that I can. Which is just me talking. So thank you guys so much for listening in. I appreciate you guys for all you do. Hit the thumbs up button, share this, and I will see you guys next time on the Wrestling United Spreaker Show.